I watched a lot of this happen real time. So I was watching I saw videos that I wish I could never see again. I wish I could unsee, but they'll stick with me forever. People being murdered and women being beaten and taken out of their homes. And
sounds like a heroic story, right? But it was not all that.
I felt a personal...
New York-based Instagrammer Tommy Marcus, who is known as Quentin Quarantino on the social media platform, felt responsible to help struggling Afghans be evacuated from the country, which fell to its former Islamist hardline rulers.
It upset me so deeply that I felt a personal responsibility with the platform that I have and the crowdfunding power that I have. I felt like I needed to do something.
So he did what he usually did. Started a crowdfunding page on GoFundMe to raise money for evacuations. The plan was already hatched by a former army veteran and a former diplomat called Operation Flyaway. Tommy was invited to bring in the donations. The money would go towards chartering private flights to Afghanistan, evacuating people with valid travel documents like interpreters who worked with the US, women and others, and taking them to the safety of a third country. And the crowdfunding campaign worked, the intensity of which baffled Tommy and the other organizers. Over $7 million were raised in just the first 3 days. Civilian efforts such as this were almost poetic, wherein the near total breakdown of institutions and governments, common people, untouched by the ground situation, came together to help a fellow human being.
There were moments where I personally wasn't sure if we were going to get more people out after that bomb went off. And it was really hard. And then we started to work with other groups to get more people out. We established safe houses. We gave medical support, food and water.
But not all agree that Operation Flyaway was one of those poetic civilian efforts. The Washington Post reported that the operation suffered from inexperience, lack of communication among organizers, and several other setbacks during the extraordinary situation. Even though the fund raised was spectacular, it did not necessarily translate into effective use. The Washington Post reported in September that campaign organizers spent nearly half of the $7 million on cancelled flights with zero evacuations of Afghans. Moreover, campaign organizers gave $2 million to an aviation company riddled with fraud accusations. The organizers told the Post that they evacuated or helped evacuate 435 Afghans.
I hate putting numbers on it, but I've kind of been forced to. $5 million for 540 people getting out is about $10,000 a person. And anyone who really draws into question, was Operation Flyaway successful? I asked them, is $10,000 per person not good enough for you for evacuating families from a war zone?
The failures did not go unnoticed by others who were aiding the campaign, like activists who voiced their frustrations and asked that all the remaining funds be transferred to the International Women's Media Foundation, a non-profit helping the campaign. Efforts such as this are not incorporated as non-profits, and the organizers are not required to file public tax records that detail their activities. Since such campaigns fall outside the purview of guidelines governing non-profits, there is little to no scrutiny, and donors often do not get to see how their money was spent. Though several similar efforts by various organizations faced similar setbacks during the Afghanistan evacuation, the sheer amount of money involved in Operation Flyaway, coupled with lack of scrutiny, has armed the critics. As of now, the core organizers have promised to use every nickel of the fund to help the refugees.